if the Cincinnati Bengals do not trade for Jameis Winston, call me Osama the way I'm about to blow up, alright? Now, believe it or not, this is not another video about me trashing the coaching of the Cincinnati Bengals. As much as I would want to, it was all Jake Browning's fault. Not all Jake Browning's fault. You can never actually truly blame Jake Browning, but it was a terrible game all around for Cincinnati today against Minnesota. That's not what I'm here to talk about today, okay? We are in the fourth quarter right now of Sunday Night Football as I'm recording this, and the New York Giants are a dumpster fire of an organization that I think is a very, very good case study as to what happens when ownership gets lucky in the 2010s. Let's be real, right? What happens when the ownership can't scout a coach, can't find any talent, can't develop players, because they haven't been to the playoffs in a while. Their last playoff win was that Super Bowl, the second Super Bowl against Brady. Other than that, they haven't done anything with it, right? They wasted the rest of Eli Manning's career with mediocre teams that might make the playoffs, but they'd wash out in the wild card, right? And now, it looks like you would have thought the Giants would have been better this season. Not amazing, but you would have thought they'd be better this season, right? Daniel Jones, he's gone. He was the issue, right? Daniel Jones was very, very bad. Brian Daboll's a good head coach, right? You see what he did with Daniel Jones that one season? Now we have Russell Wilson. He was serviceable in Pittsburgh. He can be serviceable here, right? And believe it or not, now we have Indiana Jones balling out for the Colts. Danny Dimes is a thing of the past. It's Indiana Jones now. The Colts are looking like a genuine AFC contender here, like a contender to go out in the AFC and make the Super Bowl throughout 3 weeks. They're winning in dominating fashion in 2 of those games. It's crazy. Daniel Jones has yet to throw an interception. Daniel Jones has yet to turn the ball over. Daniel Jones is playing very good football right now. If you were to make an MVP ranking right now, you would have Daniel Jones at the top of it. That's how good Daniel Jones has been playing. He's up there. He's in an MVP conversation. Again, it's only 3 weeks into the NFL season, but he's there. Meanwhile, the Giants, who have a bad game out of Russ, and then the next week you have 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, terrible interception, that loses you the game. And now, as we're speaking in this fourth quarter of this Giants-Chiefs game, which I'm looking at right now, so the Giants are down 22-9 against the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Russell Wilson, 13 for 21, 96 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and as of right now, has just been benched for rookie Jackson Dart. I don't think the quarterback is the issue here. I think it's a top-down dumpster fire, right? You have a general manager who can't scout talent, right? You have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. You have a guy who would probably be better off as a coordinator than as a head coach. Let's be real. I love Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is a great offensive mind, but as a head coach, he's not been good. He's been very, very bad. There is genuine talent on this Giants roster, right? Unfortunately, they can never seem to put it together. They can never seem to get a head coach that can make all that talent work. You have guys like Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke, Dexter Lawrence, literally the best defensive tackle in the NFL on the team, and yet they can't put up a good defense, right? They can never put up a good offense, okay? They have offensive weapons. Darius Slayton, obviously, Malik Neighbors. They just drafted Jackson Dart, and Jackson Dart's probably going to get the start in week 4. MF Doom, be like. But that's because Russ is bad. Russ has played bad. And I don't think that Jackson Dart should start week 4. Okay, you're going to shatter his confidence. His confidence is going to be shot because this is a top-down thing. There's not been good play calling. There's never been good play calling. You can never get the run game going. Cam Skattebo is barely getting any carries. He has just 2 more carries than Tyrone Tracy Jr. right now. This is, I think, the first game where he's had the majority of the carries, and even still, he's not even had 10 so far, and we're in the fourth quarter. You drafted that guy to be your franchise back because your team was too fucking stupid to pay Saquon. And even still, in retrospect, maybe the move to pay Daniel Jones would have been better had y'all had a decent roster and maybe a half-decent situation to put a quarterback into, right? And I think they did a bad job by actually going out and drafting Jackson Dart. The last thing you need to do right now is draft a rookie quarterback into an awful situation, into a situation where he doesn't really have anything to work with. He has one of the worst offensive lines in the league. He has a run game that's trying their best, but trying their best doesn't win football games, right? That's not a situation you want to just throw a rookie quarterback into. Think of what the Bears did with Caleb Williams, right? They gave him a serviceable run game with DeAndre Swift. They gave him weapons, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen, right? They threw him into a situation that the only bad part was the coach, realistically speaking. The only bad part of that was Matt Eberflus and his awful, terrible clock management. Off-season champs every year. They're the off-season champs every damn season, right? And I have no idea why. It's awful. I'm looking at this to make sure Jackson Dart doesn't get it, to make sure if Jackson Dart gets a stat while this is happening. I have the score put up on my phone. It's bad. Top down. It's a case study, right? I feel like it's a case study because they have not been good for the better part of the last decade. You know how hard it is to be a bad football team for 10 consecutive years, much less 5 straight years even, right? And of course, they had that playoff season. They had that season where they went into Minnesota, walked in there, came out with a playoff win, then got their backs blown out by Philly. But other than that, what have they done in the past decade, right? The Cleveland Browns have done more in the past decade than the New York Football Giants as a team. Think of it. The Cleveland Browns, compared to the New York Giants, were a missed DPI call away, or helmet to helmet, I guess, my bad, from making the AFC Championship. The Cleveland Browns in the last decade, the team that employs Deshaun fucking Watson and pays him to sit on the bench injured because he's a fucking dumbass and he decides to go re-rupture the same Achilles he ruptured last season, has done more in the past decade than the New York Football Giants, okay? They made the playoffs 2 years ago with Joe Flacco. The Giants, the Browns, their only issue at this point really is quarterback. Right? And I guess there's something to be said about the Cleveland Browns because they won today. They beat the Packers. But it's like when you have a team as incompetent as the Browns and you can look at that and say, they've done more than us, something needs to change, right? I think the team needs sold at this point. Okay, I think it needs to be a whole organizational reset with everyone except for Okereke, Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, Malik Neighbors, and Dexter Lawrence. Okay, other than that, everything gone. Wipe that off the face of the planet. That and Jackson Dart. And I guess Jackson Dart was literally only in to get a carry because Russell Wilson's getting passing stats again. He's now 15 for 23, 119, still no touchdowns, and still 2 picks, so he's playing awfully. But the case study of the New York Football Giants is insane. How awful they are is insane. How incompetent as a franchise they've been over the last decade is insane, because at least the Cincinnati Bengals, if you go back a decade, were a playoff team. They were one of the better teams in the AFC. The Giants, if you go back a decade, have been a laughingstock. You go back 3 years, they've been a laughingstock. You go back 20, and then that's when they were respectable. And when you can say, we were respectable 20 years ago, you know who else was respectable 20 years ago? Right? Made the playoffs in 08, won a playoff game in 08? The Dolphins. Okay? And look at where they are now. You know who else was a respectable football franchise around some 20 years ago? The Panthers. Right? It's not a good thing to say we were relevant 20 years ago, right? Oh, we suck now, but y'all remember that Super Bowl we made back in 2000? That doesn't matter anymore. Right? And I think Giants fans are just trying to delude themselves into being happy about this team. There's nothing to like about this team right now on the offensive side of the ball because you have a terrible general manager who needs to be fired. You have a head coach who needs to be fired. Everyone needs to be fired. I just say to fire everyone in the organization, pressure the owner to sell the team at this point. There's nothing, I think, to lose there, right? Except maybe, I guess, a New York sports team. You sell it. Honestly, relocate them. They're historic. They would never do that, but I mean, something. A change of scenery is needed for this New York Giants team, right? And all the Giants fans then can just go become Bills fans, and then they'll have a much happier life, let's be real.